Scott's are hosting.
Cheers to Late to the Party. We were picking this movie based on random spin of the Wheel of Misfortune. The Wheel of Misfortune now is how we are selecting our movies. It's got 16 slots on it, and we picked the movies during our episodes on Monday, 9:30 p.m.-ish of talking Okay, this week's movie is TRAINSPOTTIng, 1996, directed by Danny Boyle with a budget of $3.5 million. This movie stars Ewan McGregor, Ewan Bremer, Johnny Lee Miller, Kevin McKidd, Robert Carlyle. 8.1 out of 10 on IMDb, 91% on Rotten Tomatoes, and unfortunately no score on Walmart.com. This movie, it is not for the faint of heart. It's got some interesting dead baby scenes and explicit drug use, sex, nudity, violence. It's
duty.
Yeah. There's the shit diving. So let's dig right into it. We're gonna go with shocking scenes, and we'll start with the Scots. Liz, what was the thing that made you stop breathing and open your eyes and go like this? Was there a scene in the movie like this for you?
Well, I'd seen the movie before, so I kind of knew what was coming. But I think the breakfast scene after Spud wakes up and he literally crapped the bed. And yeah, that was really gross. The breakfast with the parents afterwards, not so. Yeah, that was still kind of.
Yeah, for all you moms out there, when the guy doesn't want you to touch the sheet, don't touch the sheet. Like, in the very least, you're gonna get a handful of his jizz. Like,
well, the worst part is that we were actually eating tacos and burritos at the time that came out. It was like,
yeah.
Oh, we both stopped.
It sprays everywhere. We stopped.
And we were just like at each other.
I just went back to eating.
Oh, God.
All right, Josh.
This movie is full of things that evoke nothing but dread. But I'll tell you the part that hit me the hardest was because the one thing that you left out of your general overview was the whole sex with underage minors. When he's walking her to school and he says he's never going to see her again, and she says, if you don't see me again, I'm going to call the cops. That was dread, because I think any guy can see how you might make a mistake, but then when that young girl is nefarious like that, how do you escape from that? That's death. That filled me with dread.
For sure. Lego?
Oh man, it's got to be the scene where the infant is found dead, man. That shit it's just too real. It's like, that kid never had a chance, and yeah, that scene just fucked me up.
Having an infant, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Jose?
It was probably almost right at the beginning where he decides to go clean, and he gets the what do you call them?
Stories.
Yeah, and then he ends up going to needing to use the restroom. Then he's so desperate for that hit that he ends up digging through that nasty toilet, and it's like, that. I mean, I've seen some people do some very messed up things while they're on it, and that's probably something that's truly happened. It was inspired from somewhere. It didn't just come to somebody's imagination. That was like, oh man, I knew right what I was in for as soon as that scene. And then the artistic twist of him going into it, pretending he's like diving and having like this calming, I don't know. But that entire scene, I was just like, oh man, this is gonna be a gnarly one.
It's a great metaphor for what those people are thinking. when they're getting their drugs. You know, it's rough. Isaac,
Yeah.
It also has to be what Lego said, Baby Hulk. That was pretty gnarly. That one always gets me, and I feel uncomfortable throughout the whole movie because I keep thinking back on that poor baby. You see the baby in the very beginning too, and you're just like, oh man, what is wrong with people, man? It makes you
nothing
just,
good is gonna come of
there's
this.
people like that, and it's so real, and it's just like shit like this happens all the time, and it will continue to happen as long as there's drugs out there
Or people,
or people.
for sure. There was a bunch of them for me, but for me, I think that the thing that hit me the most, I had never seen this movie before. My mom is a twin, and her twin brother died when I was about 7 from his heroin addiction. And anything that really digs deep into that stuff, I don't want to say I consciously try to steer away from it, but when he got away from all of his friends and he was by himself and he was doing well, and they managed to come out of the woodwork and go back to where he was and drag him back into their shit world, it's just like the way that you got to clean break away from all of those people and all of those ties to that whole life. I mean, like when I smoked cigarettes and I wanted to quit smoking cigarettes, I had to drive a different car because I couldn't go into my car and smell cigarettes in my car anymore. Like, cigarettes are such a mild thing compared to heroin. So, you know, like, I just had some, firsthand personal experience, with people and that, and they still stuck them back in. But, spoiler alert, he walked away with a smile. So, see how that goes. So let's see. This is just for anybody out there. Did you have any aha moments when you watched this? Any like epiphanies?
I had an epiphany that this is Obi-Wan before he was Obi-Wan. Like, so Obi-Wan went through some crazy stuff before he turned into a Jedi. Like, gnarly, the life and times of Obi-Wan before the Jedi Council.
Obi 0.5.
Yeah.
My only epiphany was that Robert Carlyle, who plays Bigby, looked old when he was young.
That was that's the dude from 28 Weeks Later, right, Josh?
I think so. He was also in what was it? Once Upon a Time.
He plays Rumpelstiltskin on Once Upon a Time.
He does play Rumpelstiltskin.
He's also the
Bond,
bad guy in the second Pierce Brosnan, no, the third Pierce Brosnan Bond movie.
The World Is Not Enough.
The one with Christmas Jones.
He plays John Lennon in a movie too, an alternate reality John Lennon. Just for you, Josh.
Thanks.
Okay, you guys think this movie holds up?
Definitely.
Yeah,
Only.
especially the just with the drug pandemic's still going on. If anything, we probably entered a new era of it, but with pharmaceuticals. And I think he makes a reference to that where he talks about the pills that his mom has, and he's like, yeah, she's by all means a drug addict, but it's just more socially acceptable because she got it from a pharmacy. That, I don't know, a little bit of foreshadowing for what was to come, but I mean, with what we have today, we're still kind of in the same boat, and it kind of sucks. It's a very, very ugly thing to face. But I think as long as there's people and as long as there's drugs, there's going to be people abusing them. So movies like this are going to end up being timeless. The only thing that's going to make them dated is like looking at the cars, like that was it for me. I was like, oh man, those are old cars. There's this or that, or unless Britain gets out of Scotland. And they make references to the politics of it too. So, but other than that, I think it holds up very damn well. Scary when you think about it, and sad.
Yeah, it shines a big light on white privilege, right? Poor people are poor people are poor people. No matter what color they are. There's ghettos everywhere.
Yeah.
It's not a colored issue. It's an issue of culture and of monetary lifestyle and so forth.
You know,
Yeah.
it might be a sign of the times, but the thing that I noticed was when he makes his escape from their world and ends up in London, you know, doing honest work. The thing that I noticed is that no one's wearing a mask and there's people in the streets. And I thought, well, that's not happening right now.
They were at a rave too. Don't forget the rave.
Yeah.
Guys, remember?
London's pretty rough right now. They're like super locked out. Aren't they fining people for trying to leave the country?
Yeah, that they have boxes on street corners where you can turn in your steak knives because they want to ban knives.
Oh yeah, that's fun times, right?
This should be for the next show.
I'm just saying. Those are things. They came through my mind when I saw the London scene. That's all I'm saying.
My thing is, what does this movie hold up? Back to the original question. I think when we first saw it, we were much younger, and it was, I think, not cool, but it was more hip to be involved in watching a movie like this. Now, as an adult, 20 years, I think, later, adult-ish, I found the movie to be just sad and depraved, and it's
gross.
It's just disgusting, and I know that that's what it's supposed to, I think, initially engender when you read, because it was based off of a novel. When you read this author's work and stuff, this is a kind of, you're supposed to be kind of revolted by it to some degree, but I think when you watch it as a young individual, you don't get it. You're like, yeah, man, that's cool. Yeah, I get it. Fight, all that kind of stuff goes on. And now as an adult looking back on it, it's a rough movie for me. When I forgot about I didn't forget about the baby scene. I knew it was coming. And when it came, I had to turn away because I can't, I knew, the baby scene was not a good one, but I figured I'd leave it for the rest of you guys to pick. But just this, I guess, it holds up somewhat, like, because drugs are still out there. AIDS, they bring up the AIDS situation, that's still out there. But as far as, for me, if this is the last time I see this movie, I'll be happy. Because I just can't handle this kind of stuff.
Well, Liz, I think you brought up a really good point about it being kind of hip and cool. And that's kind of at the heart of this movie. It's like these people are throwing away their lives and they're losing all sorts of pieces of themselves. And you really get it with his opening monologue about how good this stuff feels for them. I mean, this is pure bliss and it explains, like, because I think a lot of us would say, like, well, how could you see that crackhead walking down the street and then smoke crack? Like you see but like understanding how it makes them feel and why they do it, and seeing kind of the mechanizations of their mind, like, it brings it a little bit more into perspective, gives you a little more empathy, and I think it adds some humanity to these, like, monsters that we see.
Yeah, I remember when this movie came out in the 90s, that poster was everywhere, and it was like in the background of many movies too that were like cool kids, college, and it was like the cool thing. And like you said, the adult in me was like, this is sad. I hate this movie.
But it's like that. It's a cycle, and I think it's doing that by design, because like Lego said, the opening monologue, he's saying, what do I want to live for? I want a boring life where what? Go to work, raise kids, buy a house, and like they talk down on it.
That's how it ends too.
And that's how it ends.
At the end, he's stoked to be able to go for those things.
Yeah, and he counts his blessings that he was able to escape it. But the question is, and I don't know, I guess I want to pose this question to you guys. How did you guys interpret it? Like, do you guys think he's gonna relapse, or do you guys really think he's actually gonna go and make something of himself?
Well, yeah, he was enough to be a Jedi.
Jose, there is a sequel to this movie.
Yeah.
I haven't seen the sequel. Today was the first time I actually saw this movie. I was actually watching it up until 5 minutes after we were supposed to start shooting this. But
Okay.
I want to say it's more of a testament to the times, like when you're young and you're stupid, because let's face it, like youth is wasted on the young. And the same things that you were listing that he said that he didn't want to have in his life, a job, and I don't need to repeat what you said, but there was what he said in the beginning, what he said at the end. The big list of things that all the youngsters hate right now, and they blame on the patriarchy and everything. They're all great things. You're just too stupid and young to realize that. And once you get your shit together, then you'll know. That's why this whole movement to give 16-year-olds a vote is fucking idiotic. They should raise the age.
Again, it's something for the other show.
Next show.
The other show. Another thing I caught was no cell phones and no iPads.
Yeah.
Nobody was like this the whole time.
No, because they were like
That's what the kids are doing nowadays is they're just like this. They're in that drug. They're in the tech drug.
And there's dopamine in that too.
Yeah.
I'm sure you guys are read up on it. There's definitely. All right, so let's get to the buckets. I think we could go on and on and on about the metaphors in this, and I watched some reviews on it as well. It's worth digging into, and I think that this movie we will come back and refer it again in the future when we go across. We're eventually going to end up watching Requiem for a Dream. There's no way we wouldn't. And we're going to eventually watch A Clockwork Orange. There's no way we wouldn't. So I think, sadly, Liz, I see you shaking your head, but they'll all be in a very similar vein. You know, like there's
I know.
so many places to be in the human condition. You know, and we're taking 52 hits a year. We're gonna have some uncomfortable hits.
Oh no, I expect that. It's that's what we do when we review movies. You know, and movies like this are supposed to provoke thought. They're supposed to provoke emotion, and yeah, I'm okay with it. I just hope I don't have to see it again.
We're gonna have an unconscious bias to not try to have anything fucking depressing on the wheel this week. We're gonna try to, at least us, let's try to think of something happy like a kung fu movie. All right, let's get to the buckets. We'll start with the Scots.
I'm gonna actually give, even though it's not one of my favorite movies, I'm still gonna give it an 8. I mean, it's a well done movie. It's the writing, the acting, the directing, all of that stuff was done very well. And I think it goes, like I said, as much as I don't like it, the longevity of it. When I was young, okay, I can understand the raw emotion that these guys have when they're, I didn't do heroin, but I'm just saying, I can understand the angstiness of that time. And now as an adult, also I think you grow with the movie too. Now I look back on it and realize you're right. This wasn't a good thing. They kind of knew it wasn't a good thing. That's why one of them wanted to get out of it. So it still has some cultural, reference beyond just the time that it was in. So I give it 8 buckets.
I think I'm going to go a little bit lower than that. I think the acting and the directing are fantastic. There's no way that you can really find gripes with that. There weren't any parts of the movie where I didn't believe that the characters, the actors were portraying these characters and they were who they were. It was too real in that way. And there's obviously a story that's behind it that incorporates, real life incidences that makes it real. And there is some forward-going influence. I think this movie probably was a springboard for a lot of other similar films that came afterward. But this was not a fun to watch movie. I mean, there were a few points when I was laughing, but yeah, I'm kind of with Liz. This is the second time I've seen the film, and I think I'm good. I think I'm all full up on TRAINSPOTTing. So I'm going to give this movie a 6.
Isaac?
I'm going to go lower than that, and I'm going to go 5 because this is the second time I watched it, and I didn't like it the second time around again. I'm good. I don't need to do drugs.
Jose?
I'm gonna go a little bit higher because it now we know it. You know, we watched it when we were young, watching it when we're older, and I feel like there's a reason these movies exist. So you can, it's like reading a book that you read when you were younger. You go back to it and you just appreciate it more, or you find things in it that you didn't see before. And I think that this movie is important. I was joking about, I thought this was a movie I could watch with my kid. A joke, just as a joke. But in all honesty, I think this would be one of those movies that I allow them to watch.
They have to be
get that
for sure.
To get the feel, to understand that this isn't it's an ugly thing to watch, but it's ugly.
It's not cool.
It's not cool, and it does do things to people. And I've personally seen people be destroyed. Not necessarily with this drug, but others, and it's not something fun to watch, and it's sad, and yeah, of course. And at the beginning, that opening monologue, that's exactly how you feel as a teenager. But then by the end, like you said, we appreciate things as we get older, and we realize, having a family is beautiful, having stability is beautiful, having a stable income is a great goal to have. So I'm gonna go a little bit higher. I'm gonna give it a 8. Because it's solid, but it is still a very difficult movie to watch, but it holds up, and it deserves its place, as one of those that are up there. Maybe not the greatest, not an epic, but it's definitely, in my opinion, an 8 out of 10.
Lego.
So I think kind of very similar to Jose. I mean, if there was ever a movie that could be substituted in for the DARE program, like, let's throw this one in, dude. Let's
go my fucking monologue.
Sorry, but it's true though, man. I mean, there's just it's so true. Like, this movie shows you a reality that is very much real life every day for a huge portion of the population. And kids need to see that, man. Kids need to visit Skid Row, and this is a safe way to do it. So I think this is a super influential movie, and as uncomfortable as it made me, and it sounds like made the rest of you guys, like, I think it needs to be made. It needs to be out there. We need Guts and All, because if Guts and All aren't on our movie screens, they're going to be in our streets. So 10 out of 10.
Woo! Hey, I'm with you, Lego. I'm going to give it a 10 also. And I think that when you're in school in 5th grade or 4th grade or whatever, and they're showing Dare Week, they need to have this movie, and they need to have Requiem for a Dream, nudity, shit, cussing, violence, and all, so the kids can just be like, it's almost like an episode of Scared Straight that they get to see on the screen instead of having to get dragged to jail. Because I don't know if I remember, the Scotts and I are the same age. You guys remember when they rolled out the DARE program?
I went to a private school. They didn't show that stuff. We didn't do that. But I know of it.
Yeah, they had this guy who looked like he got off his 10-speed from the Mormon mission talking about drugs. And it's kind of like, even though I didn't do drugs or know about drugs, other than seeing my uncle shoot up, I'm just like, you don't fucking know what you're talking about. And you need to have somebody like Tyrone Biggums come in there and talk to the class about the joys of crack and see what you can, what you can really be, so did I inspire some thoughts in you there, John?
No, I'm just laughing at your assumptions. It's fantastic. I love it.
All right, so there you have it. We'll be picking our movies for next week, coming up shortly here on Talking We're gonna have some great topics. 9:30. Yep. So we got to end this, and we got to get the next one started. For Late to the Party, I'm Nate the Gray. We got Isaac, Lego, Jose, and the Scotts. See you next Friday.